All right, big hey now to everybody. Happy Saturday, happy Sunday. Let's go take a look at some information. I thought I'd start just looking at what's going on with staking at the moment. So what I've pulled up on the screen is from the Pulse Chain side. Just taking a look at my dashboard, see what kind of stakes we have out there right at the moment. In total, we're approaching 1 million stakes. It's going to be a while before we actually get to that level. But I've got the number at somewhere around 914,000. I'm going to configure my dashboard here to see what's up. I'm going to say, show me all the stakes that are open. And I want to see all the ones that are not GA'd. See what we have for a balance out there for stakes. And by GA'd, I mean good accounted. The T-shares are so cheap, man. That's the truth. That's the truth. I think, again, I just think we have like this huge opportunity out here in front of us. All right, so I'm showing 358,000 stakes still open going out into the future. I want to see what we have for today. I think we're getting a pretty good amount of stakes, but I don't think they're new users, right? It's people that are in system already. And so we've got 52 stakes so far for today, starting today. That's 129 million HEX, so there's some pretty big ones out there. I mean, the largest one starting today is 103 million. Yeah, that isn't your average person, right? For sure. Let's go look and see what we got for the lowest. So 1,152 HEX stakes started for 170 days. These ones always, like, I'm always wondering what the heck is going on when I look at these, because like, why would somebody even do that, right? Now, some people talk about them being, yeah, they could be HSI, I guess, but it's 170 days. Why would you do that? $1.53. I would say that, you know, I know value-wise it's kind of tough, but I mean, $100. What are we looking at? Something around this kind of level right here. You know, so that's 75,000, 100,000 X range probably makes the most sense. Maybe makes the most sense. But we're getting 3,300. Almost 3,400 T-shares added today. What was it yesterday? What do we got? Let's go back a day. Take a look at what we got for stakes. So 100 stakes yesterday were made. Again, very high numbers. Makes me wonder, you know, in terms of like HEX being staked 225 million. It's perhaps the shorties are still rolling. But then again, these very, very small amounts of HEX, 160 HEX, 160 HEX. This might be somebody's ladder. Maybe somebody's putting a ladder together, same address. That's kind of cool. That's kind of cool. I mean, you know, hey, listen, in the future, you know, this could be very valuable. Let me throw the address in here. Let's see what happens. Let's see what this guy's up to. Let's see. Try to get my. Why did it give me that quotes? That's not right. There we go. 12 stakes. That looks like a pretty well-formed ladder, huh? 1900 days, 2100, 2200, 2600. Definitely some thinking around dates going on here, all the way out to 2040. Quattro Cinco, but very tiny amounts of HEX. But hey, listen, if HEX is $50, I guess that'd be pretty good, right? And who knows? Then maybe the strategy behind this one is to collect the rewards that might come from emergency end staking. Pretty interesting. When I look at these numbers and what people are doing, it makes me wonder a lot. Let's go ahead and clear that address real quick. Take a look at what we got for 28th. Those 99 stakes, 5,800 T-shares. Let's go back a week. We'll just see roughly a week. And it was, I guess that's 8 days, right? 690 stakes, 31,000 T-shares. Shortest number of days, 1 day. And of course, maximum is going to be Quattro Cincos. We're going to see some Quattros in there, yeah. So people really doing those. So needless to say, staking has fallen off quite a bit, and certainly not new stakers. What we got here? Let's go take a look at what the averages are. So we're seeing average stake lengths on HEX for starts, 3.6 years on HEX, a little bit higher than on PHEX at 2.7 years. All right, that means that's just the average of the length. So we're definitely not seeing very high numbers. Maybe up a little bit in the average. Of course, we see these big spikes here, right? This is February. The OA doing its thing. We get the years there. So yeah, falling off pretty good. Maybe resurging a little bit. I mean, guess we'll see. Let's look at the open stakes and see what that looks like. So our open stakes, and this is buoyed again by the OAs, staking 9 years on HEX, 9.1 years, a little bit longer on the PHEX side. If we go take a look at the share counts, let's look at that. All right, let's look. We'll just look at T-shares real quick. All right, so you can see way out here in 2040. Look at that tower of T-shares. Now, one of the things I was thinking about is how to play this. Now, clearly, of course, you're tuning in here. I'm already believing in HEX, so I don't need to revisit the idea that I believe that HEX will be very valuable in the future, or that the system will work. So it's really about getting the most HEX. The OA shot its wad right so far, right? So it's already in. It's got its stakes. You can see we have a totally different look to these charts, and we'll exclude the OA here in a minute. These stakes that have come out. But this 2040 number, let's go down. Let's look at this. We're going to go down. I don't want to go everywhere. Let's go to one level down. Let's go take a look. Very hard to see because of the big tower out there, but I'm going to go out here all the way and look and see where his stakes are potentially ending out here in April. So it might, I'm going to exclude it for the moment. It might behoove me to make sure I'm getting my ladder rungs in. after that date, because it's going to be a pretty sharp decline. Because we're going to potentially be losing all these T-shares. That 16 million T-shares all on one date, 1 month. So by getting my stakes in after, right, which now anytime I do a Quattro Cinco will be after for now, I will be one of the recipients of whatever's going on after that date. These number of T-shirts will not be able to be bought back at that point. Not with the same amount of HEX. It'll be quite a bit more expensive. And with the reward levels, even though OA can't keep up, I don't think can keep up with the number of T-shirts that are out there. So for those who are willing to delay gratification and be in this thing for a very long time, and you have you have your T-shares, set up in some sort of a ladder, could be very beneficial to you. And of course, we're going to have to wait and see what the OA does on each of these years, whether they restake. I mean, we can't really conclude anything. We don't know. If we take 2040 out, let's exclude 2040. See our old shape. So you can still sort of see the original shape here, where we had some increasing number of T-shares that were going to be coming out, 25, 26. But the OA filled in. I don't know if you guys ever remember me talking about this, filling in the cup. And so 27, 28's been filled, right? I mean, they're filled in. I mean, this is pretty interesting distribution, right? 31, 32, 33 filled, right, with the OA in terms of T-shares. So we can definitely see that. And then it's hard to see that the OA is out here when I throw the OA back on there, 240, but 2040. But we still have that cup without the OA. If I had included the 2040 T-shares, of course, these pillars will all be a little bit higher. But this kind of represents opportunity for how you can compete against the non-OAs, the non-OA stakes that are out there. Interesting. A lot of crazy information. Let's go look. We'll look at T-shares. Let's see what's going on in the chat with you guys. Who's out here? Hamming the distance. Let's see it out. Dukaboos. I think we're winning. Woo. I think we're winning. I see the banana. Prairie banana. Yeah, is HEX cheap? Is HEX cheap? I don't know. Let's go look and see. I mean, I know it's cheap dollar-wise for sure. Archie, good to see you. Let's go take a look at one of the charts. I didn't prep one, but let's go see. What do we got? I'm going to go to... let's go see what we've been getting for the old HEX. This is my spot APY charting or visuals. Show me what's happening with HEX. I'm going to put it on V1 and V2 only. Get rid of the V3s for a moment. So that HEX, man, that pair still rips. 55% APR, just in V2. That's pretty high. That's pretty high. The HEX Pulse, 53% APY roughly, using V2. EUSDC, 46%. This is one of the things you can do with your HEX, is put up LP, and you do suffer impermanent loss, but you do capture some pretty good fees. Now the APR isn't on a day; it's annualized. It's over a year, but you can kind of get an idea of how things are flowing. What's our fastest speed for the last day. Speed is measured by the amount of volume divided by the liquidity. So our fastest moving pair is the V1 HEX EDI, followed by HEX Pulse, Wrap Pulse. Let me go to PHEX and just look at PHEX. So PHEX, fastest moving pairs, EDI, EUSDC, HEX, PulseX, all things you would expect to see. Oh, Dark showed up here. Huh. That's from the anti-gravity guys. Anti-gravity saga. 694 over 1600. Let's look at $10,000 pools or higher. What this clarifies. Larger pools, higher volume. So again, a lot of HEX Pulse, Mycosa HEX. A little bit of resurgence. I think with Alex coming back and talking more publicly, we're seeing a little bit of a wake up on the Hedron, Mycosa. But we really wanted to look at price. Let me go over to the DEX screen. I want to look at. I want to do EDI first. Let's look at price. Let's go out to a higher time frame, 1 week time frames. Yeah, so from a USD perspective, pretty close to being all-time lows since launch for PHEX. All-time low would be down at that 003, so a little bit further. Perhaps we're going to go down and retest that. So from a dollar perspective, definitely an opportunity. Let's go back over here. Let's go look at Pulse. I like to look at things in value against Pulse, so a little bit more important chart. Let's go to the V1s. That's where most of the volume is. All right. So again, dollar-wise, approaching the bottom. Get out to the weekly. All right. So this should be the most faded, but we look at Pulse. Not quite as bad, I think, but let's go back to 1 week. All right, so a little bit of a pattern here. Yeah, we've come down, but still up from the lows in Pulse terms. Just pick that as the number. So still 29% up against Pulse. I know Axis was analyzing this and kind of wondering, are we seeing a collapse against Pulse? I'm not speaking for him. I'm just saying it's just the idea. And one of the concerns people have is that we'll see the value of HEX lose against Pulse. There are some levels down here though. We're at 277 Pulse per HEX. I would think that you could see, right now it's right at this level at the top of that. At the 226. Yeah, I said 277, but it's really 227. Couldn't read the screen. Anyways, we're on 226. It looks like a level here at the top of this action that took place back in November 23. If we go to the bottom of that, where we look like we had some levels and support, that could be as low as 170. All right, so in my mind, the play for me might be that currently, if I thought it was going to go down, I'm not a trader, but I know traders do this. I would suppose the traders might be saying, okay, it looks like we might lose this level. Swap the HEX into Pulse, rotate. And then when you get down to a very low level, Pulse level, rotate back. That could be almost a 50 to 100% move if you did that. But that's not what I do. I do recognize that as a possibility. Let's go see what we got. Anybody asking questions in here? Mr. Farmer, good to see you. Yeah, I guess, Archie, we're saying it is pretty cheap. HEX Farmer. I did say hello, but there you are. Mitch. All right, can you explain what V1, V2 actually do, like the difference and why? Sure. You know, in a general kind of a way, right? In crypto, people talk about V2 pools. And, so generally when we look at any of the DEXs out there, you'll hear people talk about V2. And V2 is simply a straightforward, automated maker. Right. So an AMM that's actually using math, right, to set a price. And when people put LP out there, it's spread across an infinite range. So V2 is typically spread across an infinite range, right? Not typically, it is. It's spread against an infinite range of values, right? Which is different than some other methodologies that people will use. And then it uses the constant product formula. You have to go look at the math. You want to really go look at it. It uses the constant product formula to calculate how many units you get out for every unit that you put in into a liquidity position. All right. So the normal standard methodology is V2. And V2 earns fees. Depends on the DEX, right? Some DEX is it's 0.25, some DEX is it's 0.3, whatever, right? It can be different depending on the DEXs, right? Well, on V2, on Pulse Chain, it does earn fees. A little bit of a portion of that goes off and buys and burns PulseX. Right. So this is the V2, right? When we're talking about V2. Now, I have up on the screen a V1 position, right? So this is a group of people are providing liquidity in here at 2.4 million. Now, with this particular pool on V1, the way it was implemented on Pulse Chain, it operates just like a V2. So you have infinite range. However, you as a user, you earn no fees. You earn no fees, right? And what happens to the fees? The fees 100% burn PulseX, right? And so some say it was a error in how V1 was originally rolled out, and it is confusing because it's called V1, even though it operates like a V2 pool, so it's confusing to people. But a V1 and V2 pool operate pretty much the same way. The difference is what they do with the fees. All right. And then additionally with the V1s, this is where people can actually come and take their V1 and go stake the LP into the ink farms. And they can actually earn extra by doing the V1. So they do the V1, they don't earn any fees on their base position, but they can stake it in the farm and earn ink. That's probably too complicated. But the biggest difference, I think, is the bang for the buck is that on the V1, you get a ton of burning of PulseX, which makes it more scarce. And you have an opportunity to earn in the farms. But if we go look at the farms, I forget what it is right now. I don't know what this looks like right now. Let's do app.pulsex. Let's see what this. No, let me go this way instead. I'm going to go like everybody should and do pulsechain.com. Oh, and now here I am. Okay, so boom, boom, boom. And then I have a link, which is going to be the correct link to PulseX. I'm going to pull up my IPFS version. Woohoo! And go into this. This way I know, by having gone back to the Pulse Chain site, I know for certain these are all the correct links. So I didn't search for one and click it online. All right, you see I have exchange, liquidity. I'm going to go to the farm on PulseX and let's go up. Right. Make this a little bit bigger for everybody. So the pool that I was just looking at, which is HEX Pulse, you have the ability to provide that liquidity, and you see how 2.4 million almost in liquidity according to this screen. I can go deposit it in here and earn 1% APR. You'll earn 1% APR, 1.19% APR. And so this 2.3 million, let's go look at the chart again on Pulse. You see where it says 2.4 million over here. Well, pretty much all of this is in the farm. And so the incentive for people who want to earn on their HEX and Pulse, they can go set these LP positions and go deposit them in the farm. Real high level. Sorry for so many words. Real high level view. Yeah, Luke. I don't know if people are buying the dip. I mean, I assume they're, right? I mean, look at these candles in the wicks to the bottom. Usually that means somebody's buying back, right? You don't, but you see declining volume, week over week. But, it's kind of like declining. I would say so. Some would say, nah, you're not really seeing a lot of new buy pressure come in. But somebody defended it. Take a look at these wicks to the downside, whether that's reflexive in that the pools bought back or people actually came in and bought back. You have to do a little bit more analysis, but you can see those wicks to the bottom. So there's a little bit of a battle going on. People are trying to the market is trying to drive X down in price. You can see that as it's coming down, right? But every time it does, somebody's buying back that dip. Or like I said, could be other LP positions. What happens with these? We might think of everything as being fully understood, like the market and the DEX is omnipresent and it knows all. It doesn't really know anything, right? It just knows what's going on with its pair. And then what'll end up happening is right after somebody does a big sell, the other pairs may get arbed, right? Because the ratios are off here and it says, oh, got some cheap HEX over here. Let me go buy the HEX back and I'll sell this other token, that's in my pair. And so you'll see a lot of things like this kind of volatility with these. They might go away on the daily. We'll see what it looks like on the daily wick-wise. Now there's wicks. So, yeah, you see tons of wicks. That's what's happening there. Let's see what we got going on, chat. What else do I need to ask about? Hey, Mitch, let me know if that helped. I wasn't really prepared to give you an example of what a V1V2 is, but in my words. Lucky Luke is saying he's bullish. I'm assuming bullish. Bullish. Now is the time to buy. Can you explain if you managed to trade out of PI in that tight range? Yeah, well, I can talk about V3. I don't have any PDI V3 up. And I know we really don't want to be digging too deep into talking about the whole PDI. Interesting stuff going on for sure when we look at that. But V3, what you're able to do, and I guess we should talk about this as I mentioned, the V2s. So the V3, if I was looking at the HEX, for instance, and let's say you wanted to hedge your bets, so to speak, you might go into a V3 position and set something up to either accumulate or sell accumulate or sell. I'm not the best teacher on this stuff, but I will try my best. Well, let's say that I wanted to take advantage of what the market might do with it trying to dump HEX. I might go into a V3 and set a single-sided position and just put a block of pulse in at 224 or below. All right, and then that would be the price. So I might put a range and say, okay, I'll do two of them. In fact, I might say, okay, if the price I'm a buyer. I might say I'm a buyer between 200 pulse and 224 pulse per hex, and then I would deposit my pulse into a V3 position either on 9-inch or 9mm, and if the prices were to go into that range, that position would then start accumulating hex, and I would lose my pulse. Right, so it's an effective. It can be an effective means to move in and out of positions. Now let's set this back to log and auto. Let's look at this. And all right, so somebody who really wanted to try to capture what might happen at the bottom, you might go all the way down to this 113 level, and you might not ever get filled, but you would throw your pulse into this kind of range. So if hex loses it, you're able to accomplish your goal and get a whole bunch of hex. So if it loses this level, it might fill into this position. The thing about V3s that are tricky is that sometimes it'll move into position and then back out, right? And so you have to be paying attention. It's very much like trading. Sloth's got some really good videos going through the details of how to actually manage this. Yeah, Ram. Hey, listen, this is me too. This is me too. Everybody, you get kind of emotional. You wish for the bottom, then it comes and everyone flips. Yes, bye. Yeah, you wish for a bottom, but then in my case, like a lot of times, I don't even take any action. Yeah, Kasich, liquidity is pretty light, I think, overall. Why hex drops so much, and so it's pretty light. It is tied pretty strongly with pulse and the rest of the ecosystem. So if prices are going down, they're going down, right? So overall, USD wise, then with the liquidity situation being fairly light, it does make it more volatile. It does make it more volatile, and so because it's more volatile, you'll see bigger price moves. And then simply stated, it's just more sellers than buyers. You know, if we have more buyers, it'll go up. You know, in terms of supply and demand. Yeah, Lucky Luke. Just to recap: V1 super burns PulseX. V2 only gives fees, if I'm correct. Yeah, there's a little portion though that burns PulseX on V2. As well, there's a little bit of it, like a percentage of that also burns PulseX. Which, speaking of which, let's look at the PulseX chart real quick. Let me see what I got. Well, let me do it this way. Let me go back over to my deal here. Let's see what our biggest pairs are. I mentioned V1, and go to track stats. Just take a look at this real quick. So we look at the highest volumes on the chain. Notice how most of them are V1. Now there's other, PulseX V1. There are other dexes out there that I don't track, and I don't have PHUX on here. But this kind of gives you an idea of what's happening within our ecosystem, and what pairs are really the strongest. And V1, by and large, is the biggest piece of the pie. So when I look at V1, that's 60% of the volume on these track pairs that I'm seeing on V1. V2 is, we do V2, what do we got? 37% of the volume. And then we have, like little Uniswap is out there. It's got a little bit of the volume. I got the 9-inch V2s, 9mm V2s, a little tiny percent in comparison. So there's some other stuff. So anyways, the super highway is definitely, definitely that V1. And when we take a look at the V1, let's see, did I total the volume up down here at the bottom? All right, so we've got 16 million. This is rough math, so it's not going to be exactly right, but $16 million worth of volume times 0.0025, which is the fee level. And so that's $40,000, which should have gone to buy and burn PulseX. So it's a pretty good amount in 24 hours. Go back to our track pairs real quick. Let's do PulseX. PulseX EDI. I really want to look at the PulseX Pulse. That's what that's looking like. 1.3 million. This is on V2. So we can see, let's go to weekly, get a little better definition on that. All right, so also approaching its bottom in USD in Pulse terms. Pretty interesting how that came up and touched the 1.0 and now has receded back a little bit. So for a little bit of time, we were up there at 1-to-1, a little bit better than 1-to-1. Now backing off. Yeah, I have heard people talking about taking this ratio trade and having, traded 1-to-1 their PulseX for Pulse, so they had more Pulse, and then the idea that perhaps, I don't know that it'll happen though, right? I mean, you got some pretty heavy buy and burn, $40,000 in a day. I don't know what the averages are, but it would likely be, I would guess that what's more likely is to see things like this happening, right? So let me grab that bar, and I would likely see, these types of things happening where maybe it's come down a little bit. So this is definitely trading type stuff, but it comes down a little bit and then angles back up again. So something like this, little one here, because people are making this happen with the trading, right? So you get the burn, so it's positive buy pressure for sure, going up and to the right, but in between, people are playing the game, right? So they're doing the ratio trading. So I think that's probably going on with the old PulseX. All right, let's see. Hex Wizard, good to see you. Mitch, I see Tam out there. Yeah, Hex Farmer, that LPX is going to be pretty interesting. So you're saying, hey, do you think the LPX will help newbies provide LP? Possibly. I think it's not going to be. I think it's complicated. It's not super easy to get your head around. Now, the way they're going to implement it, and I'll explain to everybody what this is going to be kind of like a no frills initially, where you can just go and provide liquidity within the LPX system and not worry about managing it. What is LPX? LPX is Liquidity Provisioning X. Well, at least that's what it would mean. So the Validator X guys, who have the liquid staking protocol, Validator X, are coming out maybe within the next month, a public version of LPX. They've been using LPX to manage the up and UpX liquidity and prices, and etc. And basically coming in and using that to support their tokens and to drive it up. They've had really good success on up and UpX. And so they're making that available to the community. You got to do your own research. You got to go to the website, go read the audits, go Go look at all the literature before you jump into it. But yeah, I think it's going to help people in general provide LP. It might turn out to be the best play for a newbie, but it's not easy to understand. I mean, I'm not ragging on them. I'm just saying, like, LP and just in general isn't easy to understand. It took me a long time to even begin to feel like I have a grip on this. Well, let's look at the UpX real quick. We'll see what it looks like. Now, one of the things with those guys too, I spelled UpX wrong. One of the things with those guys too that they've come out with is in their Validator X protocol, you can use Validator X to purchase and DCA into HEX. And that's pretty interesting. I like that. Now I'm testing right now to see if that'll work for me. So I'm looking at the up and the UpX chart. Again, they'll throw it out on weekly, and then we'll go to Pulse. So they've had some, even though prices, I always forget it doesn't carry over. Even though prices are down in USD, they've had some pretty significant progress, right, on the UpX, up into the right against Pulse, which is what is important for managing a token, right? You want to be valued higher, so when Pulse has its run, it'll be worth even more, right? So they've had some progress, and my understanding from them is this is a combination of their buy and burn and their LPX protocol supporting. And the way that works is when the market drives the value up, it takes a little bit of profit and stores it, and then when it comes down, it supports the price by buying the token back. And you can do that between different pairs, and all this is public. You can go to their site, go to their Telegram, and go read about that. But the up and the UpX both look pretty similar. Let's see. Like I said, you can use their protocol to validate. It's not called LPX, that part. It's called Validator X, and they have something called VXS, which is Validator X strategy. And if you're doing validation with them, you can, take half of your rewards that you would get for validating, and point them at a token that you want. Point them at what you want. And so in that case, you could just, go ahead and do that and collect more HEX. Let's see. Blue light special, that's true. I think HEXS, I think somebody already mentioned below what happens with V2, but that's auto. V2s are auto compounded. It's hard to track. It's not hard, but you got to do it right yourself. You got to keep track of what you put in and what the values were at the time, and then what your values are when you're going to evaluate it. So you have to dig into that. Kind of do it. See what those positions actually have done for you. Yeah, Hedron V. I'm waiting. X Farmer. I'm waiting for it too. It's a good sign that Alex is out talking in public. So perhaps he has an opportunity to update and tell people what's going on with Hedron and the ICOSA and what the new version will look like. Do we have to close out our position to harvest on the V2 position? Well, yeah, if you want to remove anything, you have to remove it, or portion of it. Otherwise, it just stays there and compounds. The V3s are helpful in a different way, though a little bit more complicated, but V3s will actually collect rewards and put them aside, and then you can just collect the rewards. You can just remove the rewards off of the contract. Oh, PTGC, huh? HEX Farmer saying, I wonder if PTGC is affecting Pulse price. Yeah, of course, they're all connected. So let's go look at PTGC. It would be expected that it does affect it, but to what extent, I All right, so I'm looking at V2 positions here, PTGC. I just wanted to see what we had up here for the greatest volume. The biggest volume is on the V1 pair, 49,000 in volume against almost 1 million in liquidity. The V2 pairs is PLSX. If we go look at this, look at this chart. CPTGC, this is USD. Yeah, not too bad actually. If you look, considering all the craziness we've had, we did get hit pretty hard though, right? With everything else price wise, being down 84%. But looking at the long term value of that, it's going up. What's doing with Pulse? I think the worst is probably over as far as quote unquote affecting things. Not much of a trender, but what do we got with this? Do a trend line here. Yeah, I mean, if certainly with any token, right? If you're selling it down and moving to stables and taking it out of out of Pulse chain, it would quote unquote affect Pulse. I'm not sure, we'd have to go analyze it, but if you were getting out of PTGC, you're probably going into Pulse. And if you're going into Pulse, you're, at least in that moment, it's actual positive pressure, right, onto Pulse, not negative. But of course, then if you're getting out of the Pulse completely and going through Pulse to get to something like EDI, yeah, it would affect it. Docile is saying, yeah, you can only harvest on V3. Yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah, terminology is such that that's true. There's a collect button though, right? And then on V1, V2, it's when you remove, just like he or she said. All right. OA has already reset the ecosystem. Now we need to drain all the fake stuff. True. True. I click buttons as well. Thank you for all your support. I click buttons. Big Smoke, Sea Kind, Lucky Luke, is it safe to mention a coin? No, we must not mention. Yeah, Lucky Luke. I listen. Yeah, we can talk about whatever. I mean, I focus mostly on HEX, but as we've been going along over these last couple of weeks, I'm beginning to think, maybe I need to set up like a separate stream and talk about all the degenerate stuff that I'm exposed to. I don't know. There's a case can be made, like Richard said, that even talking about things you shouldn't talk about, right? Because potentially people get wrecked. All right, let's go look and see what do we got. I want to go look at the T-shares. Let's see. Let's go over here. Let's go see what the rates are. We got some action coming up on the 60-day. Where we'll start to see some changes. Things are pretty flat right now. The OA staking has really tamped down on the volatility of the T-share rate changes, but we're on a steady climb to the right. So we got 60 days from now, we should see, something a little bit higher, 41,006. So it's going to be slow. Boom, 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 boom. But the 90-day and the 120 get a little bit more exciting. So going out 90 days, we got some discrepancies here in May between EHEX and PHEX, but they share a big spike in June. So we should see the T-share rate somewhere around that 41, we'll do pulse chain, 41.3 level, out here in June, and then it's going to go up to 41.4. So it's not a lot, 100 HEX in one day, and then rise up further. And there's just some more jagged action. So getting closer to that 42 level as we go out. If we go to the 120-day, you can see that kind of predicting that we'll hit that 42 level for, let's see, Ethereum should be in June, at the end of June. Ethereum side, we should go to 42. That will be a little bit less on the Pulse chain side. Now, this is the reason for this is, remember, for a long time, we've had more T-shares on, we've had more T-shares on the Pulse chain side, and so because we've had more T-shares and more staking, during this last couple of years, the stakes didn't earn as much, did not earn as much on the Pulse chain, and because they didn't earn as much, it doesn't increase the T-share rate as quickly, right? So, in any case, that's why you have these discrepancies. But both of them should get up close to that 42, and then we go all the way out into July, 42.2 on Ethereum, and for Pulse, just under 42. It could go over. I mean, these numbers could change pretty well. So Chef definitely can go over that number, but just watch it and see. We look at the going out to the end of the year. I'm predicting somewhere around 45 both chains, 45,000 hex per T-share. Now, for the stakers who are out there, now what's important about this is that, yeah, while these numbers have come down a little bit, because we're not getting as many hex per T-share per day, so the rewards are lower. So by the end of the year, 45,000 is lower than I had guessed it would be. I originally, before the OA staking, I put it more at 49, so 49.50. So it is going up, but it won't hit as high a number. So it'll be around, that 45,000 level. But here's the thing: the people who created the stakes that created that number, they have the benefit of all of these rewards at a very high level in the past, right? And so they will be able to get more T-shares than somebody who staked after, right? And so, in other words, their rewards are going to be high enough. They won't be able to get exactly the same number. It'll be less for the same amount of time if they restake everything, but they can get a much higher number than the new stakes. So the new stakes that are coming out today, they're gonna see attrition of their T-shares pretty fast. They'll start running into a situation where they just can't make enough rewards to keep pace with the increase in T-share rate. So that's something I expect to see happening. So it's going to make T-shares even more rare, right? HEX more rare, T-shares more rare. So then looking out into 26, the end of the year 26, perhaps we'll hit 50. 50,000, and then the year after into 27, 55,000. So before we were looking at 9 or 10,000 a year increases, and now that's been cut back in half. As far as increases, but it's just going to be hard for anybody to keep up. All right, let's see. Does T-shares matter with price are so low? Yeah, I think the T-shares do matter, but it's a different game. Rope soar. It's a different game, right? The game is how it did. So, all right. Yes, I know almost everybody comes in crypto because they want to get rich. Got it. And of course, I want to get rich now, not later. Got it. HEX is a whole different game. I think that anybody who's doing staking, it's going to be rarefied, meaning staking is just going to be not the thing people are going to do. They're looking for the clip, the quick flip, looking for the price appreciation now. They're going to stay liquid. It's very hard to make an argument with people that they should stake. And I'm going to keep making the argument, but I just recognize, you're talking about, hey, stake for 15 years and earn 2 to 4%, APR is not like super great, right? If you have a ladder and you put it, You put a whole full ladder in, earning 2 to 4%, because most people go, listen, I what about this other token over here, right? This, I put it in here and I flip it, at a double. We just made all that APR. Well, that's true. That's true. However, you actually have to do it, right? You can't just talk about it, right? And so I'm pretty sure everybody doesn't double their money all the time, right? So I'm pretty sure that's not happening. What can I say about the HEX staking? The HEX staking is something that you can do when you leave it in, and it accumulates value, both in price appreciation as well as in more units. It's slow. It's not going to be super exciting. And people are going to fade it, which just improves the opportunity. It just improves the opportunity. And, but that doesn't mean it's not a good thing. I mean, it's pretty good. I mean, I bet you if you really sat down and did some work with risk adjustment, like considering the risks, I have all sorts of risks of keeping my HEX liquid. Like, first off, I might lose it, might do something stupid. Then second, I might really do something stupid, like, not even get hacked or anything, but, idle hands, I mean, people can't seem to leave their crypto alone in their wallet, so they go do stuff with it. And so all these things become more and more risk, right? Even the LP is a risk. I mean, so yeah, I can earn with LP, but I do risk impermanent loss, and sometimes I might choose the wrong things, and all of a sudden, its value goes way down. I lose all my HEX because I accumulate the other token, and now that token's going to zero, right? You don't have to look very far to see that. But yeah, the game with the HEX staking, it has changed, right? The idea behind being staked now is not to so much earn rewards per se. I mean, you will, but to be in position to inherit the system, inherit the HEX system and the payouts into the future. And very, very long games, 15-year cycle. 15-year cycle. So we've got 15 years into the future before the OA's current stakes are all ended. And we don't know what the OA will do between. But but by participating, you're in position to be one of the very few remaining stakers who can accumulate things from emergency end stakes. I don't know that the OA will do anything. I mean, we really don't know, right? We didn't expect, at least I didn't expect the OA to come out and stake everything, but it did. So is the OA going to continue to stake? Maybe every year they're going to keep adding. Don't know. Will they emergency end stake and distribute HEX to everybody? Maybe. Don't know. Will all the people with their big stakes in 2930 emergency end stake? Don't know. They might. If they do, good for us if you're staking. And so that would be the proposition to, be able to accumulate the T-shares for that. But I get the argument from folks to be like, nah, that ain't gonna happen, right? So looking out into the future, long-term outlooks, I got to change this. I think I'm going to remove the KSB TV new share rate, because that was an expert opinion that I had gotten from Patrick and from ABIT from KSB TV. And now it's completely outdated. I mean, I like looking at it. It looks good, but it's not going to happen. At least not under the current situations. So those of you who have been watching this in the past, you might have seen where we had like a whole different type of level here. Let me see if I want to. Come on, slide down for me. There we go. See if I can bring this up a little bit more. It doesn't want to react very well to this. All right, so I probably won't be able to get it to go down further. Well, there we go. All right, but I'll try to remove it and kind of separate it out. But before we were seeing, even our Hopper multiple, which is mathematical, at somewhere around the 300 level. It's outdated as well now. I have to get with Hopper, see if he has an update to it based on what's happened with the T-shares. Because this was a mathematical model based on past performance, and KSB is a expert model, but really where we're living now is way down here in the F2, F1, and the just the calculation, the flat out calculation that I do. And you can see the difference here is that going out 15 years, looking at T-share rate being somewhere in that 70 to 80,000, maybe 100,000 hex per T-share. No longer at 300 or even 800, which were possibilities before. But and again, the reason for this is that the hex that's been staked right now has created a whole bunch more T-shares, and because there's more T-shares, the payout per T-share is less. And because the payout per T-share is less, the calculation that gets run comes up with a lower number in the future for T-share rate. It's very, very simple how it works. And I know all of us, including me, particularly in the beginning, was like, oh, like these are big stakes. They're going to really change the T-share rate. No, they don't. They do affect the system. Right? Of course, they affect the system. But one of the effects is not increasing T-share rate. I mean, they'll do their part, but it's not going to be some overwhelming thing. Not at this point. We'll see how it shakes out. Come back in 7 years. Come back in 7 years. We'll look at it. See what happened. All right. Rup is saying, I'm here for the long run, but I'm here for some positive in times of need. RH, best founders ever. Yeah. Could be. Could be. Could be. I really am looking forward to a time where there's not so much double speak and things are a lot clearer. Because I'm having trouble determining when I'm supposed to interpret the signs and when I'm not. Like I just need like some clarity. Like, hey, this is what things should be. All right, what else should we look at? Boom. I don't think I have anything else on this chart to really show. You guys get any last minute questions and take a look at those in a moment. Let's see. Yeah, just going back over to APRs and what's been going on. What's really been moving today? We see the highest volume. Again, these V1s are always high. That EDI, man. DI from Ethereum. That's usually cooking on this chain all the time. Number one stable. EUSDC and EUSDT come close, but no cigar. The two of them together kind of come up to me in that. You see a lot of things there. What are we seeing for APRs? I think I'm on V2, right? Let me go to V2. See which are the best paying pairs. Take off V1. V2. Yeah, so this is pretty common. So I'm looking at this. I didn't put in any order yet. Pretty common that there's a lot of inefficient, liquidity out there, capital out there. I mean, yeah, some of these are just token to token, so maybe you don't consider them be inefficient, but it's not uncommon to see things in the sub 1% APR kind of range. Let's go the other direction. Look at the highest ones that are cooking. That EBTC pulse on V2, 27. Yeah, there's been a lot of EBTC, rep BTC progress lately. I wonder what that's all about. I haven't looked into it any further, but man, look at the trading on that. I mean, this is like, bang. So anyways, if you got BTC and you were looking to earn fees against Pulse, I mean, you get the impermanent loss for sure, but there's $100,000 out there earning $1,400 in fees in the last 24 hours. That's pretty good. That's at an APR of 567%. So that's cooking. I know people are trying to bring Teddy Bear back. I don't know all the details. I don't track Teddy very much, but of course, tied to the PDI deal. So that's been getting some movement. Usually, and you can see the arrows over here in red. Usually, when you see very high APYs, it's because people are selling, not because they're buying. So this indicates that USDT is coming up on price against PDI. Another thing, I don't know what's going on with that, but just watching it, going towards parity, USDT and PDI. So PUSDT and PDI. Ongoing saga in that area. Flexmith from OG Web Chef, 249% with Pulse. Beast from OG Web Chef, 176. Flexmith is also from Pulse Chef, or excuse me, OG Web Chef. Yeah, more PDI. You can see the PDIs are, I know people still got the liquidity out there. I don't know what to tell you. You know, we got the liquidity there and it's getting traded. Look at the V2 for PDI. You know, these aren't all the values, so don't freak out that it's 4 million on V2, but we still got 680,000 with Pulse. He's 46,000 with EDI. So again, if people want this to go away, you got to remove the liquidity. You know, not much else to say about that. So it's still cooking. You know, still $2 million in volume on that. Oh, all right. Let's see if we got any questions. Otherwise, we'll wrap up. Oh yeah, Agent 87. Yeah, this particular stuff. This is behind the. This is inside the group. So I have a number of different visuals and stuff that go into some great detail. But if there's something specific you need, just let me know. I put a lot of stuff out public when I can. Some of the things that I do, like when I have this particular chart, you know, I have my LP web tied to it. You know, so if I wanted to come in here and do that, but each one of these costs me per user. You know, some of them, so I have to do some different things with it. You know, for cost purposes. Now, believe it or not, even though we're beginning to see more and more of these types of webs created out there, this is considered to be proprietary information, believe it or not, right? So you can't actually just use the software. And I'm looking forward to seeing some other things. Let's look at the top tokens real quick. See what's taken position as a top token. It takes a moment. There's so much data in here. It's going through the entire web. So it takes a moment to actually get it. I might even be losing my sound here. So this is our web of top tokens. I'm going to collapse it in a moment, but you just see just how interconnected everything is in this universe. Let's go ahead and collapse it down. We'll look at just the tokens that show up as the top tokens. Right. And then let me do a quick rearrange. This is odd. Look at that. Wildfire. I think I love you. All right. I don't know what wildfire is exactly. However, I am aware of wildfire because I have that fire token. And so I figured out, I was early on, I saw this wildfire token and I was like, wow, this is pretty cool. And so I had gotten some of it and paired it up with my token, but it's part of an ecosystem that works with BTC. But the reason I said wow is I don't know where this just came from because I haven't seen it pop up here before. as one of the top tokens, had greater than $1 million in liquidity, which means somebody's been making moves with Wildfire and the whole Bondfire ecosystem, which is another one of these deals that got brought over, in the fork. So we'll look at Wildfire in a moment. Atropa is still showing up over here as one of the top 10. Some of the tokens I don't recognize. B2B is up there at $1 million in liquidity. It's Sunny the Detective. Invest at $3 million in liquidity. UFO is still up there at 3.7. Wrapped ETH, which is kind of like value, I would think, is 4.4 million. We got our PulseX at 18 million. This is just my tracked values, so they could be different. That's just how I'm tracking it. PDI in total still 14 million in liquidity. And now that counts all pairs, right? So that's not the value. PUSDC at 6.9 million. Helgo is still hanging out here. Good. I like Helgo. Put the Helgo over here. EUSDC, that's the value. EDI, 14 million, that's the value. SolidX, 2.95 million. Got our Pulse, put it up here. I think I like doing this just so I can move the things around on the screen. PTGC, put them over with UFO. What else? Anything, other things? The Atropa stuff, some of it's still got some value in it. You just wonder how much all of this is theater, and what's not. I don't know. Let's see. We got Remember is up here at 2.6. That's really taken off. 2.6 million. Beast, 1.1 million. Miser. So these are all new entries in terms of the top tokens. The most with the mostest 1.57. All right, 2. That's another Atropa. EUSDT 2.3 million. Yeah, I'll look at this Wildfire real quick before we close and see what's going on with that. See what I can figure out. Here's our. Take the PBTC, put it over there. Purple Bitcoin, A1A. That's up there. Let's see. What else we got that I want to look at? Boom. And then you can kind of like infer some things here. But the Wildfire is tied with Bondfire. I guess that's where most of that liquidity might be coming in. I'm going to go look at it in a moment, but it's also tied to PWBTC. Through the pair and the Pulse. So let's see what Wildfire looks like before we close. I don't know if anybody knows what Wildfire is. Let me know. All right, so it's liquidity. They must have made some changes here. The volume's really low. So don't take. Yeah, I know I'm talking about something that I just came to my attention. Don't go chasing stuff. I don't know anything about this, but I just know the name because it was out there. But primary liquidity is with Bondfire, and that's what popped it up. I don't know why it would be up at 2.3 million. They must have made some changes to the liquidity recently. I haven't seen that. Either that or maybe prices up on Bondfire. Wildfire though, just 50,000 in liquidity to Purple Bitcoin, and then 15,015 to Pulse. So it's not highly liquid at all. Not to any type of value. Yeah. So this is on the week. Let's look at the day and see what that is. So yeah, something's been going on here. Some sort of shift in movement. Obviously see that. Lots of sells. Big sell candle. Selling probably from Bondfire into Wildfire. All right, better to stick with the cores. All right, my friends, let's go ahead and close this one out. Let's see what we got. Hey, Asia, man. Good to see you. I haven't seen you for a while, man. Thank you for joining. All right, everybody, hit the like, subscribe, whatever. Do what you like. Do what you like. Yeah, definitely consider taking advantage of this HEX opportunity for sure. That's kind of where I'm sitting. You guys have any comments or questions, send them in to me. I'll try to get them addressed. Unless they're stupid feet pick comments. I don't want those. I won't send them. And you guys stay crispy or crunchy. I saw crunchy the other day. I don't know. Is that a thing? No, stay crispy is actual good slang. But in any case, I will be back. Maybe I'll come back with just a DJ. I got to come out with like a title. Just do like a DJ stream to talk about all the other stuff. I don't know. I got all fired up the other day. I don't like people telling me what I can't talk about, man. So, but I do think there's something to not advertising stuff that people get hurt with. Right? You don't want to do that. At least I don't, anyways. But with that, let's go ahead and close this out. Long term look ahead looks good, and everybody stay crispy.